What's up, everyone? My name's PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados, and today I am bringing you my Week 11 match of the IBL versus Storm and his San Diego Sneasels. You can see his team on the right side of the screen. His two Z users are Zygarde and Zebstrika. So Storm and I currently are both 7-3. We are 3rd and 4th, respectively, I believe, in the standings at the moment. So one of us obviously is going to win, and one of us is going to have a chance to pick up the one of the two playoff buys for the IBL playoffs, depending on whether OG Albina or Pohanks lose their Week 11 game. And there is also no possibility that Storm and I could face off in round 1 of the playoffs, because if I win, then I will finish anywhere between 1st and 3rd, and he will finish 4th or 5th. So if I come 3rd, then I would be playing the number 6 seed in the first round of the playoffs, and that cannot be Storm. If Storm wins, he would finish 3rd or 1st or 2nd, and I would not be the 6th seed. I would be either 4th or 5th. So, for that reason, I am not half-assing this week. I am going all out for the win, because I would like to give myself the best opportunity to earn one of those two playoff buys. Of course, there is still a chance that we will play again in playoffs, whether it be semifinals or finals. But I will take my chances once I get there, because I would much rather have to only win 2 more games after this week to win the championship than having to win 3. Storm's team requires very, very careful whittling down of things to come out on top. He has a ton of bulky threats, mainly the Mega Venusaur, but like Mega Venusaur and Zygarde together are like super hard to wear down. Porygon 2, Klefki, Mimikyu, all Mons that are very difficult to play around. Then, of course, Weavile, very difficult to switch into. So the result of my build this week is probably the fattest team that I have brought to date. This Adamant Gallade with just enough speed to outspeed a Mimikyu has more EVs and attack than the rest of my team combined. His match last week, I recorded it for him. It was a timeout at about 67 turns total. So I would not be surprised if we were heading close to timing out in this match once again for a second week in a row for him. I believe this is the type of team that gives me the best opportunity to win, so allow me to explain. Gallade, he cannot switch into this Pokemon at all. He has very little to take this on. Tornadus, he can guarantee outspeed me if he runs max speed. Mimikyu can hit me super effectively with both of its stabs, but of course I have one of the best checks to Mimikyu in the game in Celesteela in the back. Drain Punch hits Weavile, Porygon 2. Knockoff, I can click against the Porygon 2 mainly to get rid of the Eviolite, or it would hit something else that he's trying to switch in a little bit harder, and then I can click Drain Punch to recover some health. Ice Punch is there for the Zygarde, Zen Headbutt's there for the Mega Venusaur. Pretty self-explanatory set. Didn't feel like I needed a ton of attack investment, and I'd rather throw a ton into HP. I should say, this is enough speed to outspeed Adamant Mimikyu. I don't really see a reason for him to run Jolly, because then he's not hitting he's not hitting my bulky Mons nearly as hard, and he needs the extra power to help wear them down. And there's really no reason for him to run Jolly because of my speed tiers. I have Hydreigon at 98 that naturally outspeeds. And then my next fastest Mon is a tie between Chandelure and Meganium at base 80, which it can outspeed both of those by running Adamant with near max speed. I also believe that he's going to run an Adamant Zygarde, so by outspeeding his Mimikyu, I will naturally outspeed his Zygarde as well, and my Tentacruel also has enough speed to outspeed an Adamant Zygarde. So I have Icy Wind as my ice move of choice, This is going to prevent him from boosting his speed by clicking Dragon Dance. If he were ever in a position to click Dragon Dance and then sweep the rest of my team with the Zygarde, then I want to be able to have Icy Wind to keep his speed down at neutral, because he could potentially have a Yachi Berry to help him take 2 Ice Beams from Tentacruel, and Ice Beam, no matter what kind of investment I throw into this, is not going to OHKO the Zygarde. And Icy Wind is still powerful enough to break a Zygarde substitute if that's what he wants to go for. Aside from that, this is really good at taking on his Klefki, really good at taking on his Mega Venusaur because of the Liquid Ooze ability. Leech Seed is not going to recover him health. It will still sap health from me, but it will not recover anything for him. Same thing for Giga Drain. So I can potentially trap him in with Infestation to whittle him down that way. If he doesn't have Synthesis, then he will have no recovery while in against my Tentacruel. I can also take on the Klefki by trapping it with Infestation, whittling it down with Scald, spin away any spikes that he might want to try to set. This is also a really nice response to my own Celesteela, if he wants to copy the Celesteela with my Ditto, or with his Ditto, excuse me, because he could switch into my Celesteela. If I don't click Leech Seed on that turn, then like if he gets the Leech Seed off against me, he's going to win that 1v1 because he would be recovering more health from the Leech Seed than I would, because he would have a lower HP stat than me. However, if I do get a substitute up, then he will not be able to Leech Seed, and I can win that 1v1 by just clicking Leech Seed and Protect and whatnot. So yeah, you see now that this is a pretty scummy Celesteela set, but I think it's going to work out extremely well. Another reason why I have Icy Wind on the Tentacruel. If I can connect an Icy Wind on the Mega Venusaur, which Tentacruel would be the initial switch into, even if he's running max speed for whatever reason, if he's like a neutral speed nature with 252 in speed, once I hit him with an Icy Wind and drop into -1 speed, Celesteela guaranteed outspeeds his Venusaur and can get a substitute up without him being able to Leech Seed me. I'm also hoping with this amount of speed investment that I can outspeed his Porygon 2, because I expect Porygon 2 to actually be quite a threat against my team. With Thunderbolts and with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, excuse me, and recover. Just that would be 3 attacks recovered would be a pretty good set against me. He might not have Ice Beam. He might also have. He could also carry Toxic, and that would be really annoying for me to deal with. I also don't know if his Porygon 2 is going to be Trace or Download, because I'm pretty sure he would get a special attack boost by coming in against my Celesteela, my Hippowdon. All 4 of these mons, he would get a special attack boost from coming in with Download, but he could also very easily be Trace to copy Zeraora's Volt Absorb to stop me from like Volt Switching or something. I can't know for sure, but if I had to guess, I think he's going to bring Download, and that is not very easy for me to switch into. Next, we have our max physically defensive Hippowdon. This is absolutely necessary to take on his Zygarde. Only attacking move is Earthquake. We also have Toxic to potentially catch the Porygon 2 on switch in. We can set Stealth Rocks up against the Zygarde. We can break its substitute with Earthquake unless he has a sub-coil set. I really hope he's not a sub-coil set, because if he was, then I have a set that I was really thinking about bringing, but I couldn't fit it onto the team. I had serious 6-mon syndrome in trying to build this team. I'm not going to reveal what my idea was, because there is still a chance that I could have to play Storm again in playoffs. Sub-Toxic could also be really annoying to deal with. I think that would probably be his best set against me, to be honest. That set becomes a lot less effective if I can land a Toxic against him. This is actually not the only mon I have on my team with Toxic. I also have Zeraora, which has a ton of physical defense investment. This is going to outspeed a Weavile that's creeping my Mega Gallade, and with a negative attack nature and no investment in attack, Drain Punch is pretty much always going to kill I think it's like it's got to be like a 90% roll in my favor to kill a Weavile with Drain Punch. Wanted the physical defense investment on this thing because I want to be able to stay in against the Zygarde and get a Toxic off against it before it can substitute up. We have Knockoff and Drain Punch just like our Gallade, also for the Porygon 2. We can Toxic the Porygon 2 with this thing as well. And then Volt Switch is my move to hit his Tornadus. I'm hoping when I switch this in initially that I can threaten him out and not have to click a more powerful attack that could Oko him. Volt Switch is a roll in his favor to survive if he has come in on rocks once. And in that case, if I have Zeraora in against Tornadus, I would think that his switch in is going to be the Venusaur, so I would like to get instant momentum against that thing. Last but not least, we have our Wigglytuff, which is as defensive as it possibly can be. I was thinking about what the last move would be on this set. I didn't put it in the team builder, but it is Dazzling Gleam. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but figured I would just have it on there just because. So this is max physically defensive to switch into the Weavile if I need it to. It's really not taking hits from Weavile that well, like Icicle Crash. Jolly Life Orb, I think, it still does like 45% to me, which is not good. But I can do a lot of damage to him with the Brick Break. I can also potentially use Brick Break to erase screens that Klefki might want to set, but this is not my main strategy to deal with Klefki. I have the Tentacruel and Celesteela for that. Can set up substitutes with Celesteela, by the way, against the Klefki, against the Venusaur, against the... there's one other thing that I can set up against. What is that? I knew there was one other thing. I don't fully remember what the other thing was. Probably, I think I was thinking Ditto. Yeah, I think I was thinking Ditto of what I could set up against. So this is our Z-move user. We have Z Heal Bell to be a Cleric for this team. I feel like a Cleric on this team is essential because I don't want him to be able to wear down stuff like my Hippowdon with Toxic. I feel like Klefki could try to Thunder Wave both my Tentacruel and Celesteela, and that could potentially be really annoying. Don't want my Gallade to be statused by Porygon 2, like if it goes for Toxic on switch in. I don't want him to be able to wear me down that way. Zeraora could also be Toxic by a Porygon 2, so I really wanted to have Heal Bell on this team, and Wigglytuff can also use Z-moves and keep itself healthy to potentially get even more Heal Bells off if need be. So that's going to be the team this week against Storm. If we can pull out a win in what will probably be a very long game, then we will give ourselves a chance to get a bye heading into the IBL playoffs. If we win and don't get the bye, that is not the worst thing in the world. We will just have to play the number 6 seed in the first round, whoever that may be. So we'll see you right back with the battle. Here we are back with the battle and looking at Storm's team. I'm not surprised at all by what I see. Looks like this is his A team. He's really going hard for this win, it appears. The only notable Mon to be absent in this matchup is his Mimikyu, which makes a lot of sense. Going up against a Celesteela is never fun for a Mimikyu. I like my lead matchup with Gallade against 5 out of 6 Mons on his team. The Klefki can potentially paralyze me and hit me with super effective Dazzling Gleam, but that shouldn't be doing it too much considering my HP investment. I can Drain Punch a lot of that damage off. The Zygarde I have Ice Punch for. The Weavile can't kill me in one hit. It can't flinch me with Icicle Crash or flinch me down or something like that, and I can just Oko it with Drain Punch. Porygon 2 I obviously like the matchup against. The one Mon that I would feel pressured out by is the Tornadus. And I locked my Gallade lead in regrettably because I was running out of time. At the last second, I was like, oh boy, he's going to lead with Tornadus, and I'm going to regret this Gallade lead. I wish I could have led Zeraora instead, but in the end, I just decided to lock in the Gallade lead because the timer in Team Preview was running down, so I just clicked confirm and said, hell with it, here we go. And lo and behold, he does lead with his Tornadus, because I'm sure he's well aware that Gallade matches up pretty well against pretty much everything else that he would want to send out to start this game. So immediately I have to switch out into my bulky Zeraora set, and I'm going to take this Hurricane right off the bat. It's going to do about 25% to me, and thankfully it doesn't get any confusion. I am predicting him to switch out now, but I didn't expect the Klefki to come in. Probably should have gone for a knockoff there. Toxic would not have been a good play against an incoming Venusaur or an incoming Klefki either, because I don't do anything to him. So I Volt Switch out immediately as he sets up a layer of spikes, and I'm going to bring in my Celesteela, thinking that I might be able to just get a sub up right away and start lead seeding things. But then I realized that that is not the play that I want to make here. He could easily go for a Thunder Wave and paralyze my Celesteela. I don't want that to happen. So, scouting for the Thunder Wave, I go hard back into my Zeraora to get a little bit of HP back from the Volt Absorb. I do only recover about 12% because I take 12% from the spikes and then get 25% healed back. So, I'm going to click Volt Switch again and go into the Tentacruel this time. I don't mind my Tentacruel being paralyzed, you know, as long as I don't get full parried too many times. This turn I went for Infestation to try to trap the Klefki in so that I could wear it down with Infestation damage and hopefully end this exchange with the Klefki going down and no spikes on my side of the field. But as he goes for Thunder Wave, I get full parried on the very first turn of me being paralyzed. This turn, I get full parried again as I know he's going to switch out, and I clicked Rapid Spin just to get that one layer of spikes away. But I am neither able to trap the Klefki or spin spikes away because of 2 consecutive full paras. So, we're off to a great start in terms of hacks against me in this game. So, Venusaur is going to come in and reveal that it has the knockoff to try and get rid of items on my bulky Mons, I guess. He's going to get rid of the Black Sludge on my Tentacruel. So Tentacruel's longevity is impacted quite significantly already. So my Icy Wind plan is going to go into motion now. I click Icy Wind to bring the Venusaur speed down and then get my Celesteela in as he goes for Sludge Bomb. Thankfully, he did not go for the double knockoff to get rid of my Celesteela's leftovers, as I can now set up a free substitute in the face of the Venusaur as he's going to go out into the Porygon 2. Now I can set up Elite Seed against this thing, and we do see that I outspeed his Porygon 2, so he has very minimal speed investment by the looks of it. I put about 60 investment into my Celesteela so that I could hopefully outpace this Porygon 2 even without its speed stat dropped. And we see he goes for the Ice Beam to try to break my sub, so it looks as though he doesn't have Thunderbolt, which is really surprising to me. I expected him to have Ice Beam. Well, Ice Beam I didn't expect as much. I think Shadow Ball was to be expected because it hit an incoming Gallade. It also hit my Bronzong if I wanted to bring that. And we do see that he has the Shadow Ball right here. So now we've seen two of his moves, and we can assume that one of his other moves is Recover. And it appears as though he doesn't have Thunderbolt, because why would you not click Thunderbolt to break my Celesteela's sub right there? So probably the last move is Toxic instead. It's hard to say for sure, but on this turn I do think that he is going to go for the Recover, and I predict that correctly and get my Gallade in. So now I'm going to be able to... I do take some spikes damage, but I get all of it back because his Porygon 2 is still Leech Seeded. He does not have a great switch into this now. I can Mega Evolve and go for a knockoff to get rid of his Violite. It's a pretty safe play. In case you wanted to predict a fighting type move for some reason and go into the Tornadus, then I would knock off his item and find out a little bit more about what his set might be. But he does just stay in and go for the Shadow Ball. One thing to note as well, when the Porygon 2 came in, neither Trace or Download activated. So that means this is an Analytic Porygon 2, which is the last thing that I was expecting. I thought that Trace for Zeraora's Volt Absorb might be good. I thought Download might be good because I had a lot of physical bulk on my team, and he would have got a +1 in special attack, but instead he opted for Analytic. So that Shadow Ball doesn't do as much as it would have done had he been Download and come in on my Celesteela, got the +1 in special attack. And I basically end that exchange with Gallade all the way back up at full HP after recovering HP from Leech Seed and Drain Punch damage as we knock out the Porygon 2, but that just means that he can bring in his Tornadus once again. As I have to bring in Zeraora, he goes for a Heat Wave this time, and in case he is a Scarf Tornadus, it looks like another Heat Wave might be able to knock me out. So that's why I decided to pull a double out into the Tentacruel. We do see that I switched out with Zeraora first, so it turns out that he is not Scarf Tornadus, so I very well could have just stayed in and gone for a Volt Switch on that turn if I wanted to. But that's okay, I get Tentacruel in against his Venusaur, which was his his switch into the Zeraora. And now I am going to be able to break through full paralysis to get a Rapid Spin off. And I'm going to start making the same sequence of plays that I made the first time when I had Tentacruel in against Venusaur. And I probably shouldn't have done this because at this point I've become quite predictable. I Icy Wind him and then go into Celesteela, so he does get that play right this time and goes for the knockoff to get rid of my leftovers, and that's pretty annoying. So I thought I could go for Heavy Slam on this turn instead of a substitute, hoping that I wouldn't be wasting any HP on my Celesteela, and if Klefki wanted to come in, that Heavy Slam might be able to knock it out. Based on the Klefki's moveset, I knew that it was most likely going to be a 50% berry, and I thought by going for Heavy Slam there that I would knock it out and not actually activate his berry, but it turns out I was wrong. So I definitely should have gone for a substitute there because he would not have been able to break it with anything. Foul Play, if he has it, would have only been doing like 20%, something like that, not a whole lot. Could have got Elite Seed up. But then, as I go into Zeraora, thinking that he might try to paralyze me again with Thunder Wave, he actually goes for the Dazzling Gleam. As I get Tentacruel in now, I'm trying to trap him in with Infestation and get a Rapid Spin off so that he can't have a layer of Spike up against me always. But for the third time, with my Tentacruel, I get fully paralyzed, so I can't get the Infestation off again. And so at that point, I just go for a Scald to knock out the Klefki because 2 more Dazzling Gleams was going to be able to knock me out. There was no sense in going for Infestation at that point. So this layer of spikes, I was unable to spin it away, and that means that my Zeraora in the back, which is at 12 HP, is as good as dead. And that really, really sucks because that means I no longer have Zeraora to bring in to revenge his Tornadus. His Tornadus just became a massive threat against my team because I have nothing to revenge him with. He outspeeds the entirety of my team now. So I decide, after this Zygarde comes in to kill off my Tentacruel, that I need to get rocks up with my Hippowdon to weaken his Tornadus. So I'm going to bring it in against the Zygarde and just go for Stealth Rocks right away, as he sets up a substitute and is going to blow his Z move right away, the Devastating Drake, based off of Outrage. I'm thinking he blew this one turn early, because he is actually a Dragon Dance set, so I'm curious as to why he clicked the Z move now before giving himself the +1 attack boost with Dragon Dance. But of course, all I can do here is click Earthquake to break his substitute. It is going to be enough to break. And Outrage didn't do all that much to me. It only did about 45%, didn't bring me under half, as now he's going to go for the Dragon Dance, as I just stayed in and go for clicked Earthquake once again. If I can, if I can get Earthquake damage off against this, then that's great. As you can see, it does about 30%, and 2 more Earthquakes should be able to knock him out, but he is at +1 now. So, I could just try to slack off, stall him, as he goes for the Outrage, but he could also just keep boosting up with the Dragon Dances. So I decided, no need to go for recovery here. I'm just gonna chip him down with Earthquakes. And he does get a crit Outrage there, but it doesn't really matter that much because I think 2 Outrages, no matter what, even without that 1 crit, would have been able to knock out my Hippowdon. So I did stay in there to let my Hippowdon go down. He does get a 2-turn Outrage. I was hoping that he would be locked into Outrage for 1 more turn, and this would allow Wigglytuff to come in for free, be immune to the Outrage, and get a kill off against the Zygarde. But unfortunately, he did get a 2-turn outrage, and he gets confused, so now he can go for 1,000 arrows if he doesn't hit himself in confusion. But thankfully for me, he does hit himself in confusion, and Wigglytuff is able to escape this turn without taking any damage, and it knocks out the Zygarde. So now, the Venusaur is going to come in. I'm going to use my Celesteela as a pivot as he goes for a Sludge Bomb, and I'm going to pull a double into my Gallade, as on this turn he goes for a knockoff. So I get my Gallade in taking a lot less damage from a Sludge Bomb than it would from a knockoff. Interesting to note that he went for a knockoff right away, really early in the match, before my Gallade had Mega Evolved, and so he risked my a Gallade coming in and getting a justified boost, because knockoff, you know, being a dark type attack, would have procced justified. And here I miss my first Zen Headbutt, and he Sludge Bomb poisons me, so he's going to be able to knock me out with Mega Drain now. Zen Headbutt miss really sucked, man. Really sucked. I could have had this Gallade still to, I could have potentially got a flinch too. I could have potentially had my Gallade at a lot higher HP. And now, because this Venusaur is still alive, the only thing that I can hope to do is bring my Celesteela in, continuously click Heavy Slam, and hope that he runs out of Synthesis PP before I run out of Heavy Slam PP. So these next couple turns are going to be sped up because it's a lot of stall. Celesteela versus Mega Venusaur, and the only thing that he can do to damage me is click Knockoff, and my leftovers are already gone. The only thing I can do to damage him is click Heavy Slam. And at this point, I'm really regretting not putting Air Slash on this set over Protect, because I had like a substitute Lead Seed Protect, like kind of scummy set that, and I never clicked Protect once. So I much rather would have had Air Slash in this situation to wear down this Venusaur. But instead, all I can do is click Heavy Slam. I did get one crit with the Heavy Slam, which was kind of helpful. But I did go for a substitute. Judging by the damage that he was doing to me with Venusaur, I knew that my Celesteela substitute could live 2 knockoffs. But because I didn't go for substitute right away on sending in this Celesteela, he was able to bring me down to a range where just before I killed him with that last Heavy Slam, I don't have enough HP to set up another substitute, and I was really hoping that there was a chance that I could end that exchange with Celesteela having a substitute up, so that I could get a free attack off against whatever he wanted to bring in, his last 2 Mons being this Tornadus and the Weavile. So my last Mon is Wigglytuff, basically because Zeraora is going to die to Spikes. So at this point, I need to hope that his Tornadus misses a move against my Wigglytuff. And him going for Tailwind there is as good as him missing something like a Hurricane, because it gives me a free turn of damage. Now he goes for the Hurricane, brings me all the way down to 6 HP. Wigglytuff just barely hanging on. I have max HP, but no special attack investment at all. Or special defense investment, excuse me. That did so much, but I was able to hang on. I get the Z Heal Bell off to bring me back up to full HP. Now he goes for Heat Wave. He does not go for Hurricane again, and this does substantially less damage because it's not stab boosted and is just less powerful in general. So at this range of HP, I can live a hit from Weavile because I am invested in physical defense. Weavile's going to come in on rocks. I can guarantee get the KO on the Weavile with Brick Break and win this game, as long as he doesn't flinch me with Icicle Crash. And as you can see, I do get flinched by Weavile's Icicle Crash, and he goes for it again, which reveals that he's actually a choiced Weavile, because there's no reason for him to not click Knockoff in that situation if he wasn't choiced. So I don't know if he was banded or scarfed, but it doesn't matter. I lived the hit, and a 20% chance to not flinch does not go my way, and he wins the game because of it. And as a result, our chances to get a playoff bye in the IBL playoffs have just gone out the window, and in fact, Storm is going to get a playoff bye. He's going to finish in 2nd place because OG Albina, the previous #1 seed, did lose his last week's game, and that propels the winner of this game into the #2 seed and gives them a bye straight to the semifinals. So GG to Storm, although I'm going to be honest, I messaged him right after this game and said, I am so fucking salty, man. Yeah. Losing out on a playoff bye to a 20% Icicle Crash flinched absolutely sucks. To be fair, he did give me an opening by clicking Tailwind. The reason why he did that was because he was forgetting that Wigglytuff is actually super slow and that a Scarfed Wigglytuff set would not have been effective whatsoever in that situation. So that's why he went for Tailwind, just in case I was like just in case I was a Wigglytuff on steroids with base 80 speed instead of base 45. And just in case I was Scarfed. If I was and Scarfed with like if I was base 80 speed with Scarf's Dazzling Gleam, then maybe I would have been able to win the game at that point. Who knows? But that definitely was not an ideal play that he made. It was basically as good as missing a Hurricane, and his Tornadus or the Weavile never missed a move. They hit all of their attacks, and the 90% attack that I went for, my Mega Blade Zen Headbutt, that also missed against his Mega Venusaur, and that created that whole stall bit with my Celesteela against it. But a misclick or a bad play on his side, that is totally within his control. Him flinching me with Icicle Crash after he's given me an opportunity to win is not within my control, and that's what really annoys me. The other thing that wasn't in my control was Parahacks. Tentacruel paralyzed 3 times trying to whittle down that Klefki. As a result, he keeps his spikes up, which I otherwise would have been able to spin away. Zeraora is now useless. It can't come in against his Tornadus to kill it. Now, okay, I did bring in Zeraora on a very predictable play and let it take a little bit of extra damage that it didn't need to take. But still, even with that misplay in mind, I still should have had it to come in that situation, in that late game situation with Tornadus as I had to bring in Wigglytuff instead of my Zeraora because Zeraora was dead to spikes damage. There was nothing it could do anymore. So of course, Parahacks coming back to haunt me in IBL once again. That's how I got kicked out of playoffs in the D-League, and that's how I missed out on that's partially how I missed out on a bye in Season 6 here. I do want to be clear, I do admit to this game not being the most well-played game by me. Believe me, there are a lot of things I wish I could have done differently in this game, and had I done them differently, I probably could have put myself in a better position where I didn't need to rely on Icicle Crash not flinching to win the game. But despite that, I still am very, very salty about this result. This now knocks us down to the number 4 seed in the playoff race, so we do have to play a quarterfinal match in 2 weeks. We won't have an IBL video next week. There will be a week off before the beginning of playoffs. 2 weeks from now, our quarterfinal match will be against Phantom Base and the New York Cosmogs. We last faced him in week 7, just as he had taken over Tone's old roster. So since then, he's made a whole bunch of transactions to adjust the team to his liking. So he's got a whole bunch of new mons that we never had to prep for the first time. So it's going to be, the dynamic of this rematch is going to be quite different from the first time that we played. And of course, that will have to be on Showdown because he does not have access to a DS. He misplaced it or something, he lost it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss our next IBL playoff match 2 weeks from now against Phantom Base. We will see you then.